speaker is McGuire from Health Canada. Mike is the Director of Medical Access, Specialized Authorization, Controlled Substances, and Cannabis Branch. That's a long title. Allow me a little bit of intro about Mike. Mike is a graduate from both Carleton University as well as the Institute of Political Studies in Paris. Mike leads the team at Health Canada, responsible for operational implementation of cannabis regulations with respect to access to cannabis for medical purposes, research, analytical testing, cannabis drug licenses, as well as the import and export of cannabis. Mike also oversees the implementation of industrial hemp licensing and import-export programs under the Industrial Hemp Program. Mike's going to share with us today on the new cannabis guide and how Health Canada is streamlining the research application process. Mike, would you like to take the podium? Please welcome Mike.
Good morning. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for that intro, and thanks, Dr. Thiessen, as well, for your presentation. I learned a few things for sure, and hopefully, after today, where there'll be myself and a few other colleagues from Health Canada speaking to you, you won't all feel like we're the regulator holding up that stack of dominoes, but that we're here to explain a little bit about what the rules are, because that's our job as regulator, is to set the rules and enforce them, but how to navigate them as well, and how through, at least on the cannabis side, through the Cannabis Act, the cannabis regulations, we are trying to enable some very important things like research with cannabis. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is the research licensing program and what that means, how to apply for a license very practically, and then be available for questions as well. Okay. So the purpose of the presentation is to provide an overview of the application requirements to obtain a license for research from Health Canada under the Cannabis Act and cannabis regulations. And a bit of context. So the Cannabis Act, which as most of you would know, is just over a year old now, requires individuals or companies to obtain a license issued by Health Canada to conduct a number of different activities. And so this slide lists a few of them. As organizations, licenses are needed for conducting research with cannabis, analytical testing on cannabis, cultivating cannabis, processing cannabis, selling cannabis for medical purposes, producing, possessing, or selling drugs containing cannabis, as well as cultivating, process, or selling industrial hemp. So the whole gamut of activities that can be done with cannabis all require a license of one sort or another. And so my team is responsible for processing applications that come in for licenses related to research, analytical testing, industrial hemp, and drugs containing cannabis. There's another team at Health Canada that takes care of the licenses for the larger commercial cannabis producers and the regulations that they're subject to. So research with cannabis. So the Government of Canada, as part of the legalization and regulation of cannabis, recognize the importance of research. And I think the presentation that Dr. Thiessen gave very rightly pointed out that there's not been a lot of research on cannabis, especially compared to other drugs or other medical issues. And so one of the things that we wanted to do with the legalization and regulation was encourage research through a number of different ways. Some of it's through funding, but one of the ways is through the creation of a research license category under the cannabis regulations.